Hang on, something's wrong, Nuke said. Ahead, the walls of Heft were lined only with the usual samurai guards. My man, I thought you told everyone what's happening. I did, my prince, Waddesdon said. I informed them that the victory procession was their best chance to see the new heroes of the Empire, and of course the wonderful tamed skimmers. You told them about the Scroops? Of course. You dreg, people are racist against Scroops. I can't imagine why, my prince. Don't matter, we can do this the United Cities way. Captain! Nuke waved over the samurai at the gate, and quickly ordered them to force out an adoring crowd to welcome the guild home. Townsfolk were lined up alongside the road, their eyes locked on the gently writhing ball of monsters that overshadowed the rest of the procession. Waddesdon went up and down the lines handing out bribes, and soon enough, everyone was willing to turn their attention to the proud ball draggers instead. To kick things off, Nuke held up the Holy Phoenix, who cawed and struggled against his binds. The Holy Phoenix has been defeated! The war is over! Nuke declared. This brought about a wave of cheap, nay, free adulation. The people realized that this wasn't the weird farce they had quite rightly presumed it would be. This was a historic moment for Dreg and noble alike. At last the party atmosphere began to set in. The guild walked through the crowds to cheers and applause, rising to a crescendo every time Waddesdon showered loose cats from an upturned Holy Nation helmet. The hivers held Beep up above them and chanted, "Associate, it is your fate!" Plenty of Ronin hivers were spotted bowing among the audience. Another royal woman was getting some attention too. "Princess! Princess!" a girl called out to Izumi from amid a bunch of gawking adolescents. "I'm not really. Well, hello there, thank you, yes," Izumi bumbled. "I can't believe we got to see you. You're so cool." "Is that? I don't. Thanks, guys." "Look, I did my hair like you. Do you like it?" the girl said, showing off her greasy, dishevelled-looking ponytail. It was an exact match. "Thought she'd be taller," one of the other girls shrugged. "Oh, fuck off!" Izumi immediately snapped back. She was about to apologise, but the rest of the group cheered her on. "She's so sophisticated, I told you," the leading girl insisted. Izumi made her escape as the group began telling each other to fuck off with ever-increasing fervour. The procession soon reached the Imperial Palace, where they marched up the winding ramp, homunculus and all, into the halls of Tengu Tashino I. The throne he once sat upon was now just a supporting column for a series of hashish burrows, with the Emperor himself nowhere to be seen. Dad, we got you a present," Nuke called into the warren. "How high will it get me?" an echoing voice replied. "High as a phoenix. It's that business we discussed. The war." "Oh, still going on, is that?" "Not anymore. Just come out of your hole, Dad. You're embarrassing us in front of the bird freak."
"Ha! So this is how you fallen creatures live," the Phoenix said. "You can still be saved. Read the truth in the holy fire."
"Read? You fool, I can't read," Tengu said as he emerged, covered in a hairy moss that was flourishing in the dank warren. "That's how the weebs get ya."
"Oh, so you understand that at least."
Yeah, it's important. My boy here's a fucking goner with all that. I got me goggles here modified so that I can't even see any of that shit anymore. Hardly working actually though. I can see your bloody ball of cat girls over there just fine." "Actually, Dad, those are skimmers." "Fuck! The parasite's got me! Oh, I'll be banned! It's the end for me! Send for the doctor!" "Dad, you've just got moss growing on your brain. You'll need a dose of glow green, right, Izzy?" No," Izumi said. "Oh, don't make me beg. Phoenix man, you stupid piece of shit. Let's go downstairs and get blazed," Tengu said.
"Blazed? Like a blazing phoenix?"
the Phoenix asked. "You'll be burned out and soaring high. The dream, eh?"
Yes, the dream."
So even the Phoenix had fun at the big victory party that evening. The Scroops were returned to their stables, where a few local people even dared to go and feed them lumps of choco bread. In the palace, The city nobles were all squashed into the dining hall alongside the guild. "Alright, you freaks, let's get the introductions out of the way," Tengu said from the head of a long table. "What have we got? We got this old chap here. He's the only phoenix. He's that guy we ate, but don't let him get you down. He's been fucked to earth and back by our guests here. Over there we got two weird pale looking Shek. See 'em? The one without boobs is the Prince of the Shek Kingdom, apparently. So be nice to him, or we'll have even more bullshit to deal with, alright? Then here's this group of pot plants over here. They got a couple of celebs. Let me get this right. It's Gustavo, Prince of the Manx, and Queen Boop." "Beep," Beep corrected him. "Yeah, they got their own thing going on, don't worry about them. So right, next special guest is this guy who sounds like a skeleton, but looks like a bloke. He's a big shot in skeleton land or something, right?"
"Allow me, your majesty,"
Rick said, standing up.
"General Redlin Ricard of the Biobash Order, dishonorably discharged, and now the famous Big Stick Rick. Demonstrations free, all-night service at a negotiable rate."
Right, guest of dishonor then. Nice one," Tengu nodded. "And of course, my only child, Prince of the Empire. Nuke prompted. "Nuke Teshino! He sorted us out with all this war shit, so let's have a toast and eat some of his weird choco bread sandwich heresy his lot keep going on about. Long live the Empire or something." A toast was given, toast was eaten, and all had a mildly pleasant time befitting of an upstanding dinner party. "So you see, I think peace is the only option now," Isaiah was saying to his table fellows. "With the Scroops stationed here in Heft, who would dare wage war on the United Cities? And yet, should the United Cities wish to wage war on the Kingdom, they'd find that getting those fussy buggers to walk 10 paces down the street is a task so Herculean that it simply isn't worth the bother. In this way, those silly Scroops are the linchpin of global geopolitics." Everyone nodded, and the Empire nobles were impressed that this strange-looking Shek had such a head on his shoulders, although only because they had foolishly presumed otherwise. Nuke was also discussing lofty political matters. "You don't need the slaves anymore, Dad. Being a slave fucking sucks, and having to deal with having slaves around also fucking sucks." "Boy, you don't get it. Who do you think gets all the stuff done around here? All this food is from the hands of those slaves. Get rid of them, you get rid of everything else too," Tengu argued. "Manx Canyon has more food than we can eat 100 times over, and I ain't got a single slave. Everyone's free to leave whenever, but they just don't. Is it because they're addicted to the drugs we give them? Probably, but that's better than just threatening to kill them and shit." "In addition, Your Majesty, there is the matter of a technical solution," Izumi chimed in. "We now know that in the First Empire they used machines to perform labor. They made a few mistakes along the way and destroyed the whole world, but let's not write it off. We've got plenty of prototypes at Manxand to show you." But your little den's in the sticks. No, it's on the other bloody side of the sticks. Can't you just move back in here? I'll make you both a space in the nest," Tengu said. "You need to see it, man. We'll make it easier somehow." Nuke nodded, drawing a less sure nod from Izumi. "Anyway, let's just say, put it out there that we might be doing something a lot better than slavery real soon, but it's going to be real similar still. It's like we're going to enslave the machines instead."
"Ah, that classic opening line. Always works out great,"
Rick said, immediately swiveling around to join the discussion, breaking the waist of his new man suit in the process.
"I hope y'all are gonna be studying the perverted history kid thing if you're gonna be talking like that."
"Oh yeah, Dad, we made this book that explains the historical treatment of skeletons that destroyed the First Empire, told through the medium of a coming-of-age reverse harem gas girl manga with revolutionary attention to detail," Nuke explained.
"Not wrong,"
Rick nodded.
"Those manga girls ain't even ever seen a shower, yet they drew it just right."
"Even politics comes in little comics now. I'm too old for this shit. Alright, I'll be open-minded. And by that I mean fucking stoned. Oi, everyone, turn the lights out. I want to show you something." Another classic opening line. He referred to Nuke's custom, warm, glowing green supply, which bathed the room in an eerie hue. The high and mighty nobles were disgusted by the notion of taking poor people drugs, until they tried it. Oh, the party truly began at that moment, and Big Stick Rick did very good business. As with any good party, the less said about it all, the better. In the morning, the guild set off for Manx. As the Emperor had complained, it really was a bit of a slog, and while lamenting this very matter, the guild were confronted with the other issue previously discussed.
There he is!
A voice shouted. A band of manhunters appeared from behind a sandbank.
That's the prince trying to free the slaves and destroy this empire! Give him a taste of what he's missing, huh?
Can't remember if Dad said it was okay for me to kill all of you, Nuke said.
Better to ask forgiveness than permission. Kill them!
Isaiah shouted. The manhunters realized they were in trouble as soon as the first blows were struck, but they were out of their misery by the second. And you know, I don't even need to ask for forgiveness, because I'm not sorry, Izumi shrugged. The sentiment was universal. Nuke led the guild south, and then up a small hill that overlooked the eastern sea. This isn't the way, my prince, Wadston pointed out. But it could be. Storm Gap Beach is right over there, you can see it on the horizon, Nuke said, pointing out in the more literal sense. Indeed, across the blue salt beds of Gut, the brown waters of the long Storm Gap estuary, and past the line of greyish cliffs marking the horizon, faint specks of smoke rising from Manxand's bakery were being carried off by the winds. I fear the swim and the beak things will render this route rather perilous, Wadston said. We need to build a massive thing with footplates where you walk that goes right above the whole area. A bridge? Izumi suggested. A skyway, Nuke called. The guild sat on that sandy hillside, enjoying a rainy picnic, while Nuke and the tech hunters debated various minutiae of civil engineering. The end result of all this? Little more than wet behinds and a sky-high dream, but the matter would be returned to in earnest soon enough. In the meantime, they all carried on back to the long way home. On the way, they passed a farming camp, run with the decreasingly legal economic model of slave labour. Nuke decided to pop in to deliver the news. Outside the gates, a gang of manhunters were preparing a slave trading caravan. They were very angry to see the guild emerge from the hills. Indeed, it was the rumours of some absolute buffoons arguing about whether bridge columns benefited from the power of teamwork that got them out of bed in the first place. They didn't hesitate to draw their weapons, but they really should have.
Look, I am killing them! Beep!
Beep boasted. She pulled back the arms of her crossbow and pressed the trigger again. There was no bolt loaded, and yet the slaver she targeted reeled over backwards.
Incredible, my queen! Every being you kill makes those still alive more grateful for your association. Please continue,
Gustafsson said. He hurriedly reloaded his own crossbow, held stealthily at his hip, just in time to pull his trigger again when Beep did. And they said hivers had no notion of romance. They were probably going to keep saying that, actually. At about 2 in the morning, the guild sauntered into the middle of the slave camp. It featured a large cultivated patch of mank, ringed by jails, barracks and a thick wall. Given the time of day, all was quiet. Nuke quickly saw to that.
This is a public service announcement. It is the case that this facility has been officially sanctioned by order of the no more fucking bullshit please thanks bill of what year is it?
No one knows. Starts with a 7 maybe? Izumi shrugged.
Of the year 7, 4, probably a 1 in there. Alright, zeros. How many zeros? What if there are zeros? Shit. Okay, let's just say year 7 for now, pending further amendments.
Oi! Shut the fuck up!
A voice shouted from a nearby barracks.
Omiwa mo Shindaru, Baka!
Nuke called back.
What?
The voice echoed.
I'll handle this,
Isaiah said, funneling his hands over his mouth.
Prison break!
He boomed. That got things started. The guild burst into the slave quarters and slammed the guards to the ground. Locks were smashed, and the freed slaves boosted the gear of their fallen captors. "This prison break is brought to you by the TCM Plus to the Power of Plus Guild," Nuke tried to announce over the noise. "Oh, but it's also brought to you by the Empire. Slavery is over. Live free, die of an overdose. This is our creed." This stalwart rallying cry took the mob from jail to jail, busting slaves out and throwing slavers in. Guards occasionally appeared to intervene, but that never lasted long. The 1,000 guardians secured both gates for the sake of any who wished to depart. And of course, Nuke was always recruiting new muscle for his walled-off Manx farm, yet most of the liberatees decided to stay. "Your Majesty, if you ain't forgotten us, then we gotta do our part," one of them explained to Nuke. "From now on, our hoes will work for you."
"Pimpin',"
Rick remarked. It was classic comedy, and also probably a good idea, as until the guild set up their machines, someone actually did need to keep the food supply coming. And it's all good business. Instead of selling produce to pay the guards, the farm could just scrap the guards and pay the willing workers instead. Everyone wins. Except the out-of-work guards, I suppose. But manhunters becoming job hunters aside, all was well in that remote farming outpost by the time the guild marched off the next evening. They marched past the Fallen Eye, skirted the fringes of Venge, crossed the rocky bluffs north of Brink, and at last sighted the giant ancient chimney in the middle of Black Scratch. Manxand was close, and hence Nuke had to halt the guild for a special matter. "Izzy, I need you to wear this blindfold," Nuke said.
"Can we just get back before you horrible biologicals get started with your parasite shit?"
Rick asked. Apparently not. "It'll spoil the surprise if she sees it," Nuke smiled. "It's barely degenerate at all, this is wholesome fun."
"Yeah, I've heard that one before."
"Fine, Nuke, I'll do it, let's just move," a worn-out Izumi conceded. The rest were free to observe Nuke's surprise as they got home. How did you do this?" Elena asked. "Incredible! How did you achieve such great size?" Watchton asked. "Showing off's all it is," Sandor commented. Izumi was certainly interested, but wasn't entirely sure why everyone else had to be involved with this. Turned out it was a gift for everyone really, but Izumi was to be the main recipient. I should mention, by the way, that I'm talking about an enormous, looming, towering, rock-solid Second Empire-style citadel. Fashioned after World's End University, this 100-meter-tall monster rose above the top of the canyon, its chrome dome roof gleaming in the morning light. When Izumi's blindfold was removed, she was standing in the circular main hall of the building. "Welcome to your new palace, Princess," Nuke said with a grin. "Oh, not you as well. Sorry, thanks. This is incredible. It's so big."
"Ah, how I've longed to hear it,"
Hammer's voice said. From upstairs, a robot spider covered in grey dust plodded down into the hall. "Yeah, it's because of the bots. Even 1 billion slaves couldn't do this, but a few machines and bang," Nuke said.
"Bang indeed, kind prince,"
Hammer said.
"We've been working day and night, welding, sawing, mixing, cement, as you insist on calling it. I should warn you that it's not all set, and this whole thing is liable to collapse at any moment, to be honest. But hark, is that not the world in a nutshell? To die in this dusty prison would be pure poetry."
"Hammings, you're killing the vibe."
"Ah, and I suppose you think you're a better vibrator than me. Nonsense, eh, princess?"
Hammer was shooed away, and the biologicals took a look upstairs. The second level had a large lab space for anything Izumi might desire, for scientific research purposes of course, and upstairs was the master bedroom, where I suppose other purposes could be attended to. As of now, this new build was devoid of character, colour, and indeed furniture, but for the first time, Princess Izumi started to feel worthy of this spurious title. "This is unbelievable. We can create uranium atomic splitting devices with all this space," Izumi said. "Yeah, and I can get a shelf," Nuke said. "It's wonderful, Nuke. Just what I wanted." "Great. You did drop a few hints after all, like when you said exactly what you wanted.
Thanks for picking up on that. Thanks so much. I can never repay you.
And I can never charge you, so let's call it even, eh? Oh, speaking of charge, I grabbed a couple of batteries from Dad's basement.
Yep, you really do know what I want.
Izumi almost purred. This is another of those things where the less said about it the better, so let's just leave this on the note that both were very happy with their new property. Who actually was paying for all this? Let's just say that the guild now owed several million cats when you added up all the debts incurred in materials and labour, but they could surely repay that with their invaluable services to world civilization. Yes, now that the war was over, it was time for some true R&R, reading and research. Izumi's tech hunters were to begin work on strange devices that made use of the warming rock fragments, and Nuke's mangaka girls, i.e. the same people, started work on the sequel to Gas Girl and the Four Ethical Princes, Bacteria Boy and the Four Hygienic Matrons. It was the cleanest filth known to history, a period which spanned back at least 7 years, rumour had it. Best leave them all to it, and wait for the next great outing. This was brewing with increasing volume over in the Manx hive down the canyon. The strange hums and chants of the hivers within, loudening by the day, would eventually become a fresh call to weird adventure.